involves substantial risk of loss and is not Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful when the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you got a good spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun.
Good morning, everybody. Well, hold on, I don't have the music ready. It's Thursday though, so we get not non-farms. Initial jobless claims, and it's like some of the only real data that we get this week. So, meanwhile, Nvidia is just destroying it again. I'm in disbelief. This is like the third or fourth earnings now from Nvidia that I'm like in disbelief. It's just insane. All right, charts. If I can find the right chart here. Where'd you go? There you are. ZN. Pretty much where we were yesterday, though. I mean, we did see some movement. I did find some of the movement kind of interesting, but like it is really quite tight, isn't it? I mean, it's really quite tight. The S&P 500, though, I mean, look at that. Look at that takeoff. That is just bonkers. The S&P 500 moving up off of one stock. But that is the world we live in right now. Oil kind of, this is down towards the bottom end, but recovering a little, bouncing off of that bottom support a little bit. Gold and silver getting hammered here. And so it's kind of interesting. We had the Federal Reserve meeting minutes yesterday, and rate cut expectations declined. Gold and silver declined. You saw like moves. Let's see here. So there's gold and silver. Copper's still just kind of bleeding from its loss yesterday. Okay, here this Japanese yen just kind of continues a slow and steady decline. And okay, so the dollar's about where it is. But the point is, like, some parts of the interest rate complex moved and some parts didn't, and I find that very odd. Oh yeah, Bitcoin's still up. Still up, but you know, above 7,000. Okay, so here's our news coming in. And we got 215 versus an expected 220, so lower than forecast, and that is causing a little bit of selling over here in the treasuries, just a tad. Anyways, and yeah, Uzi notes that for Nvidia that the 10-to-1 split is effective for June 10th. Have you ever seen a stock that outperforms the expectations like that, despite already having such high expectations heaped upon it? It's just absolutely bonkers that you can have a stock that's so universally loved, is up so much, and just continues to go. I remember last week somebody was talking about, oh, you know, like, we're actually maybe seeing a defensive turn, etc., etc. And I was pointing out, well, if you look at the flow reports, the funds are starting to allocate into tech again. So that's maybe going to change. But then I also added, you know, I don't know about Nvidia. Maybe it needs to take a break. Well, I mean, I guess it had a little bit of a break, right? I mean, it had a little bit of a break from a new all-time high, but not for very long, did it? It's just absolutely crazy how strong that stock is. And I just do not see how it is possible for something like that to continue on forever. But as long as people keep buying it, it will. And a 10-to-1 stock split helps, right? Because that basically means it will go from $1,000 to $100. And yeah, man, I don't know. This is just so crazy to think about. The number of people that message me about, oh, hey, somebody is trying to impersonate you on Discord. The people notifying me about it are now more annoying than the robots that are actually impersonating me. The robots that impersonate me. The robots that impersonate me get banned from the server. What else can I do? Don't feel bad if you warned me about it and annoyed me. You know, it's fine. But Discord, do something. Gosh. I bet you that there's probably nothing they can do. Like, short of banning the entire country of India, there's probably nothing they can do. Oh, man. Well. Oh, hey, somebody messaged me on LinkedIn. It's been a while. And Dalag, welcome back. How are you doing? We didn't really get to talk, the other day, so I'm glad you came back early. Either way, remind me in an hour, I gotta go and wake my family up because they probably think, hey, school's out now, so I can sleep until 11 o'clock. Not in this house. Especially not those two babies. They went to bed on time last night. They are waking up on time and developing a habit. So that Seth can more easily go to bed on time. I'm full half of buying my... Why does everybody do that shit? I just don't get it, man. That's multiple Apex accounts. I think it's so dumb. Please don't tell me you become one of those people. Hey Jake, how's it going? Wait, did I say hello to everybody else? Uzi, Octavius, Alan, A. Paul, Alion, Nadia. Am I saying that decently? Like, if I was in France and I said your name like that, how embarrassed would I be? Well, so I should kind of take a step back now. I said it correct. There you go. See, my 2 or 3 years of French in junior high were worth something. So I had a pretty heavy workout on Monday, and I had a recovery workout yesterday. I'm probably not like peaking. Actually, we should look. What is my workout here saying? What is my plan? What does my psychopath coach have in store for me for the rest of this week? She's not a psychopath, but sometimes her workouts are crazy. Thursday is heavy. Saturday is really heavy. Wait, how is that? So when you come on here and you see snatches, 5 sets, 90%, that's a heavy workout. But I'm surprised to see both Thursday and Saturday to be heavy. Saturday is definitely heavier. And what about Monday? Monday is light. So I'm probably going to be a little bit twitchy today. You notice I already seem like I'm in pretty unusually high spirits today. Do you use any tick compression on the DOMs you're displaying, and if so, which tick size compression? So I use it on the S&P 500. I find that it's a lot easier to kind of tell what's going on here. If it was an instrument that I was actively trading, I would still recommend, you know, maybe you have 2 DOMs up or something like that. Okay. But I do it a tick compression of 4. So that way I get a level for every full point instead of every quarter of a point. That's pretty useful. Okay, so what are our expectations for today? That's a good question. So here, today is the 22nd, right? 23rd. 23rd. Okay, so we had initial, we don't want to, there we go. Initial jobless claims, slightly better than expected. Slightly better than expected. And let's see here. Let's look at the calendar. We have a services flash. That's important. Services PMI flash. That's S&P. S&P services PMI flash. New home sales. Okay, 10-year tips. So, 4-week bill auction. 10-year tips auction. Tips are Treasury inflation protected securities. And then not as many speakers later today. I'm just going to note on here. I think that we should pay attention to keep eye on Japanese yen. So, and there may be yesterday. Yeah. Okay, so jobless claims, that's a sell. New home sales, I don't know if that one matters. Auctions, that is kind of like generally overall positive. The market seems to be managing these auctions pretty well, so that might not be as major of a. The Japanese yen, that would be a positive flow. Leftover flows from yesterday, that would be a negative flow. So I think that the balance is slightly to the downside. Okay, so balance slightly favor shorts with upside risks, which means that if I am short, I want to be kind of on alert for some sort of a large buy coming through and, you know, having to bail on that. For me, so I could take a trade, but I do need to be a little bit more cautious than usual. And if I do take trades, I need to, you know, like be one and done, because my tendency is going to be to want to take a lot of trades. So let us come over to Monkey Type and test my typing speed. Things I do when I feel like that I am a little twitchy. Okay. So it's actually my typing speed here seems to be fairly standard. I did make a couple of big mistakes there. So I think that kind of shows that I am super compensating a little bit, but that I didn't recover as well as last time. And I may be more prone to making mistakes. So I think that, like, knowing myself and past problems and how I seem to be performing just from like a couple of tests, I need to be careful. I do have at points like a raw speed of like 120 though, so. Well, so I do Olympic weightlifting is what I do. So in Olympic weightlifting, you know, obviously strength matters. Having a lot of muscle matters. But most people already have a lot of muscle to lift a lot of weight, and they are just not very good at recruiting that muscle to do the job. So, a major thing, a major part of Olympic weightlifting is periodized training programs that slowly increase in intensity so that when you get to the competition, your system is ready to recruit all of that muscle. So just like you do this like muscle, the whole thing with the muscle building is like super compensation, right? It's like you break the muscle down, when it recovers more than it needs to, and then that helps you to lift more, and you can kind of use that to build gains on top of gains, right? And you can do the same thing for your nervous system. So past 2 days been kind of tired. Today I'm waking up and I'm feeling a little bit too good. Yep, Anatoly there. So that's why I'm talking about this, right? Because some of my biggest losses happen when I'm in that kind of time period, when my nervous system is in depressed or super compensation. So you'll go from like making lots of mistakes, and then you go into a period where you just like want to trade all the time. So I know enough about it now that I can kind of like hold myself back. Because today, you know, especially with the opening range that we've had here, that today looks a lot more fertile than the rest of the week to actually take a trade. I think yesterday was okay. This looks even better than yesterday, at least so far. At least so far. Oh yeah, I forgot Anatoly is that guy that does those pranks on people where he just lifts this absolute massive amount of weight, and they're all like, how does he do that? Oh my gosh, yeah. But like, again, that's the thing, is that like having real strength has a lot more to do with muscle recruitment than it does the absolute amount of muscle mass. Having a lot of muscle mass generally coincides more with being able to do the work for a longer period of time, right? Like these bodybuilders, they'll do sets of 10, that sort of a thing, right? To get the hypertrophy, the muscles swell up, take in a lot of nutrients, so that next time you work out, they can keep going. So that's why you can get these guys like Anatoly that are crazy strong, and you would never know it. Kind of funny it's come up because I said this on a TikTok yesterday, and a lot of people really liked my comment for some reason, but it was this girl, and she's like some sort of a physical trainer or something like that, works for the military, and she says that, you know, it's really wild to her the number of people that she sees come in that are very religious gym goers, but they don't have any real fitness outside of the few little lifts that they do. And I said, well, that's because what happened is we conflate fitness with bodybuilding in the United States. Going to the gym is you're doing bodybuilding and not any other kind of fitness work. Now that kind of changed with CrossFit, right? But you're gonna take a short. Kind of curious which direction, because I kind of thought I understood what makes Octavius want to go into a trade, but like the other day he took a reversal. Now he's taking a slight continuation. How a woman can never feel the strength of a man. Wait, what's that? I don't know. That's you're just kind of triggering me with that, because that's one of those conversations I see online, and it's like, well, yeah, so there are women on my team that lift more than me. Maybe that's because I'm just not very good at the Olympic lifts, but like when you look at my squat, I still squat more than like Olympic level women for the most part. Like, and I really suck. Like, I really suck. So you're taking like the very best women are about on par with some of the very worst men. That's kind of like, men are freaking strong, man. The effects of testosterone are insane. I suspect that part of why I've been feeling a little bit more positive this cycle is because I'm getting more testosterone. Like, obviously I'm not doing it, I'm not taking anything or any of that, but I'm sleeping better, I'm eating better, I think I have better quality supplements, like I got better quality fish oil. That's a key component to testosterone, like all of those sorts of things, right? The effects of testosterone on you are insane. I can imagine how this woman looks like. Do you really train the same like her? Well, yeah, actually. No, so a lot of it is, there are genetics involved in it, right? So the women on my team that do the Olympic lifts more than me, like a snatch more than me, specifically, part of it is maybe they are just better at the lift. Part of it may also be they are more prone to having the more fast twitch muscle fiber than I am. I'm kind of probably built more to be a runner. But these girls in particular are just genetic freaks, man. there are some genetic freaks on my team, right? Like I have a thin wrist, right? And there's girls on my team that have a wrist that's like 1.5-2 times larger than mine. So you can put a lot of muscle on that. Yeah, they're gonna end up lifting more. But not on a squat, interestingly enough. The squat is like the one lift that I think I've really like been able to take to its fruition. Probably because I really worked my legs in school. Yeah, they're broke. Yeah. It's actually kind of funny. I don't know if this is just the United States thing or what, but there are a lot of girls in Olympic weightlifting for whatever reason. There's just a lot of women in it. And they generally do pretty good. Like, if a lot of it is youth. So like if you get a girl that is already like leaning towards being fit and athletic is kind of the word that you're looking for, like they can generate power from their movements. You get a girl and they're like 14, they're very, very likely to go to a national level just from starting early. So Alian says ZF is interesting. Well, yeah, so we are getting a little bit of flattening again, like we did yesterday. Yep, explosive. That's what set LeBron James apart, right? Because they have power. And there are certain, I mean, so your body has two kinds of muscle fibers, like in your active muscles. There's slow twitch and fast twitch. So a slow twitch muscle fibers are better at like long distance running, for instance, and fast twitch muscle fibers are better at generating power, basically being able to exert a lot of force in a short amount of time. And so you can kind of influence how much of the muscle fiber you have, of which type, by your activity, especially when you are younger. So that's why you get somebody that when they're in their teenage years and you start getting them to do the Olympic lifts, you get somebody that can really become very athletic, right? But it's also genetic, you know. Like there's one girl on my team that she's I don't know if she's Samoan or Tongan or what, but she's an islander, right? And man, they have a really strong genetic predisposition for power. You have to Google his feet. What, LeBron James' feet? I'm kind of trying to keep an eye on this spread just a tad. I feel like I'm kind of in a situation that I've been in a lot recently, where I think that I could justify a short, but I don't really like the prices and where I'm at having to do it. SMB Lance? Oh, I haven't seen it. You know, there was that. You guys recommended a speech by somebody, Goldman Sachs, the other day that I never watched. Totally forgot about that. You know what? I had a little bit. I got done with my work somewhat early, and I started watching that freaking 4-hour YouTube. You heard about this? There's this girl. She has a relatively famous, like she's already got 1 million subscribers, and she made a video essay about the Star Wars hotel, and it's 4 hours long. And looking at it right now, it's got over 3 million views. Can you believe over 3 million people willing to watch a video that's over 4 hours long? So I got like halfway through it. It's actually kind of interesting to watch. Here's why it's interesting to me. Yeah, about Star Wars, no less, right? So this girl, I don't know how into Star Wars she is, but she, and without having watched any of her other content, this is my impression of her. She is like that quintessential Disney adult. You know what I'm talking about? Like the kind of person that it doesn't matter how stupid, how much Disney wants to charge you or whatever at the park. Like, they want to get the full experience of going to the Disney park, and they love going to the Disney park all the time. Disney files, yeah. She seems like very much like that. So like the whole thing is you would think that the kind of person that would be willing to go to a hotel, and spend that much money for like a pseudo LARP experience would be like the Star Wars geeks, right? Except for that the Star Wars geeks all hate the new trilogy, and it's all the new trilogy, so they don't go. So really, like, the perfect demographic for this kind of a hotel would be the Disney kids, the ones that were already spending insane amounts of money at Disney parks every year going, right? because I know people like this. My sister, her husband are kind of like that. They want to go to the Disney park all the time. They're like, let's get a season pass to the Disney park. That's how often they want to go. So she seems like the perfect demographic for this thing, and she hated it. She was so disappointed, and a part of it really you can kind of see is like she was very disappointed in the experience that she got. Like she hoped that it was going to be super cool, and it was not. It was super lame. So so the video is literally is 4 hours of her describing everything about it, like in way overly too much detail, like all of the marketing that went into it ahead of time, and kind of how they got the ideas and what they were trying to do, and then like a super detailed every little step by step of her experience there. 4 hours. So it's like that, right? So you would think like, oh, I'm not going to watch that, right? But you start watching it and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm kind of interested in where this is going, because it's like it was such a disaster, the hotel. The worst is being hired by Disney files, go into their house, and it's just miles and miles of flat surfaces filled with the most valuable Disney merchandise to ever have been conceived by man, and it's like you basically can't do anything but clean the floors. Eee. That's interesting. Oh man, so I already missed another little push lower, huh? It's just like I was saying, I was like, well, I think I want to go short. I don't like the prices, and it was like at 1/2, and look at how quickly it slipped through there, man. Cheap plushies and crap everywhere. Ugh. It is, it's insane. So one of the things that was come up recently for me was they wanted the kid is in band, one of the kids is in band, and so they wanted all the parents to come and watch this presentation about some summer trip that they're going for, or something like that. And the trip is like, oh, I can't even remember how much it was. How much was it? I think it was like $8,000. I think it was an $8,000 trip for like a few days. And I'm like, that is such a waste of money. Like how are there really that many people in my area paying for that to justify doing the trip every year? Because for most people in my area, that's like 10% of their income. Like, that's insane. $8,000 for one kid. Like, what? But then you go and you look at like there are people and they spend insane amounts of money on Disney crap. And it's not just like, there's one crazy person out there. No, this is like a large number of people do this. This is reversing back up after that a little bit too quickly. I'm a little suspicious of this now. Pay attention, Seth. Are they coming into the yen here? Well, I mean, the yen is up, but it actually looks like the action is more in the treasury. Yeah, Disney files are often double income, no kids. Because doing it with kids is for the high earners. Yeah. Well, what do you have left? Do you have no grounding, believe? I guess the thing that is weird to me is a lot of people are complaining about the economy right now, and for good reason. But then at the same time, I also see a lot of people like wasting money in really bizarre ways. Like $8,000, that's that will max out your IRA that year, you know? Like, you put that money into the stock market, it'd be double that in 2 years, the way the current market's been going, you know? Like, it's such... I think that when I retire, that there will be a lot of millennials that more than even past generations. I mean, there's a lot of boomers, but I think that it'll be even worse in millennials that did not save. They'll be petitioning the government for more money. They'll want Social Security to be higher or whatever. And then it'll be like, well, where were you? You were off going to Disneyland every year, and I was saving it all in my IRA so I could live on it in my old age. Now you want me to pay for it? People our ages are on balance retarded with money, maybe. One of the frustrations that I have right now is that with my old job, we made enough for our needs and everything, but you know, like we had to plan for it and everything, you know, and I felt like I was pretty on top of it. And now I make enough that I can get away with not being super on top of everything, you know what I mean? And so I always kind of feel bad about it. Like, oh, you know, there's $100 here and $100 there that I probably could have saved. And it's like, it's nothing off my back. Like, I'm still saving a ton of money, right? So like, I'm totally fine, right? But am I my best? I'm not my best, you know, and that bothers me. That bothers me is like, I can already see the, like, okay, when you get into the higher income, here are the things that kind of will, like, you know, little thing by little thing change the way that you are. And you know, especially if you're like raised under that kind of environment and come to expect it in our trust fund, baby, you don't become your best self, right? It's the struggling that helps you become your best self. Friend of mine over 30 years sold 30 years old, sold his house with an $800 a month mortgage to rent for $2,100 a month. What? For why? Was that the house wasn't good enough? Oh, I can't imagine what you would rent that would be better than a house. But sub $800 a month mortgage, that's crazy. That's crazy. Another friend who sits on Mad Cash hit me up the other night asking me about paying his rent a year in advance with his Chase Freedom card so he can get the 1.5% cash back. Well, okay, so that is actually an interesting one, Newsy. I mean, like, if you pay it all, no. Because if you're paying the card back immediately, right? So you use the card to pay a year's worth of rent, and then you immediately pay the card off, and then you get 1.5% of that back. I mean, that's almost you know. Well, let's see here, it's 1900, so let's say that it's 20. Then that's $200 that you make. You'd be paying it back immediately. Yeah, you could totally do that. I don't think that it would really be worth it. Well, I mean, if it's nothing for you to do it, then sure, it's worth it. But like, you're not making that much from doing that, right? Yeah, it's like this is pretty pittance amount. But there are better cards than 1.5% cash back, aren't there? Because I remember my wife talking about some things like that, and I was like, oh, okay. different kinds of rewards, though, I think. Like, because there are people in the aviation industry that, like, they pay everything on that card and then immediately pay that card off. And then they can use the card on, like, hotel points and stuff like that. But when I tell them to put 150K into 30-day T-bills at 5.5%, it doesn't sound like a lot of money. Yeah. But I guess the thing, though, that I was kind of getting at is I can kind of see this dichotomy in the economy. Can you? Like, there are people out there in the economy that have too much effing money, especially boomers, and they are not wise about it, and they get away with just being totally stupid and irresponsible with their money. And meanwhile, there's this whole other section of people that are just absolutely screwed right now because the cost of everything has gone up so much so quickly, and they're not getting pay raises. Yeah, some get lucky and have mad cash, and they're just too dumb to know what to do with it. Yum. Fast money, slow problems. Another thing is, like, okay, like, so if you're making good money, you should spend some of it. You should spend some of it, okay? But then, like, what do you spend it on? So if I'm gonna do a certain amount of spending every month, what does that spending actually go into? Because to me, I'm like, oh, I can get better quality supplements. I can, you know, like, I want to invest in things. I've been kind of updating my gym a little bit. Like anything that will make my life more convenient, make me more effective at doing things. That's like where I think the real power comes from, right? And then I see a lot of people, they want to spend it on junk. Don't get it. For me, it's like friends I know manage a portfolio and day trade, so they want to ask me about investing and stuff, but they ultimately don't listen because my driveway isn't full of Lambos. Yeah. So it's really weird. I don't know about this price movement that we've gotten here this morning. So where did my pen go? Oh, it's here somewhere. There it is. Okay, so this right there, that's a clear liquidity hole. So could this be a meta order short-term mean reversion? I don't know. Look at the cumulative delta. That was pushback, actually. So when I see that, of course, if there was an equal and opposing meta order, we'd go all the way back up. But that's only if the first order was done. So instead, it kind of looks to me like you had an order, then there was a slip, and then we had something push back against it. And I'm kind of leaning towards that explanation because my reading of the flows is that the balance is slightly to the short side, but that there could be upside risks. So that would be your upside risk right there. I think that was more than just, you know, based on the cumulative delta, I think that was more than just your mean reversion period. So if that's the case, you can't look at this kind of pullback here as like, oh, okay, now I got a good spot to go short and we'll go lower later. I think that I've got to be like way more careful. Yeah. Friend who sold his house made 75K on the sell. I don't know what to do with the money. Park it in 30-day T-bills. You figure it out. Nah, I think I'm gonna try and buy stuff on Temu and resell it. Oh my god. Why would you buy stuff on Temu when I can just buy Temu from Temu? Yeah. every time that I see something like too many packages come to my house, okay? I think that there's probably like a package every day. And most of it I would say is unnecessary. Now, it's not expensive stuff, so it's like not a huge deal. But I spend more, my family spends more on Amazon than I would like, okay? But what really gets me going is when it's something from Temu. I don't say anything about it to her, but I'm like, what kind of absolute junk that is probably just going to clutter up the house did you get on Temu? Because it's Temu just has junk, you know? Like, so the most recent one that they got was that Melissa got was like, what do you call these? This is like a little turnstile sort of a thing, you know, except for that it's got like 3 levels, and that way you can put a bunch of stuff on it and spin it to get access to the thing that you want. And I think that she wanted to put it in a cupboard or something like that, but then it ended up being too big for the cupboard. So now, like, I don't know what we're doing with it. It's just like sitting there on the table. Yeah, too shitty for even the Chinese to bother exporting in mass. Yeah. Well, like, I wouldn't even say that the quality on the items have been absolutely terrible, but it's kind of, a lot of it is like, but why would anybody want that? I think that my wife just likes, you know, lots of items. Like, if she gets a toy for the kids, like, this is something that kind of struggled with at first, because Asher and Ethan just destroy everything. Something that happened yesterday is that we have a pretty nice couch, and there's like a little console in the middle, and the console can slide in and out to reveal these cup holders. And for some reason, Asher has decided that he doesn't like it, and he just pulls it off. Oh my gosh. And then if there's a box of toys, they dump the whole box. You pick it up, they will immediately dump it back out. And part of my problem is that Asher is straight up autistic. Asher right now is like, if somebody is not watching him 100% of the time, he will break something or hurt someone. And what's happening is Ethan is like kind of becoming feral. He's like, oh, well, my brother does this, so I can do this. Dumps everything out, right? And my wife, for some reason, always wanted to buy toys that had like lots of little pieces, you know, like Littlest Pet Shop type crap, right? Except for, you know, little kids, bigger pieces they can't swallow and everything, right? But she was always interested in the toys that had a lot of different parts and pieces to them, and that kind of had to end. I don't know why that is, but oh my gosh. So now instead I get, you know, every once in a while we get weird stuff off of Temu. It's like, and then meanwhile over here I'm like, well, you know, my workout shorts, they have a couple holes in them. Maybe I should go and get a new pair of shorts. Think about it for 3 weeks before finally pulling the trigger on it, you know? Oh man. And this was what it was getting at, where it was like, well, I can afford to do all of those sorts of things, but like, I'm not my best, right? How do I get to my best? How do I maximize the amount of money that I'm saving and all of these sorts of things? Hard to get a handle on. And see, what I could do is I could just ask a lot more from the family about, okay, like, no purchases unless you've justified it, and here are all of the set things that you have to think of, right? But here's the thing, like all of your mental energy is caught up in watching this autistic child. So how can I ask something like that of them, you know? If buying a few things is kind of like the one outlet that they get that's keeping them sane. What are you talking about here, Hentelag? You see Seth go into my preparations? I know. The other issue is that the way that I would typically deal with these kinds of problems is, you know, you have Mint or whatever. I'm using Quick and Simplify. It's okay. I have some problems with Quick and Simplify, okay? Like the amount of time that it you know, like I have bills and things like that, and it's supposed to catch that this is that bill and put it into that budget or whatever the deal is. Like it miscategorizes so much. So you really do have to go in and like manage it, right? And the way that I would be like, okay, here's how we manage the spending is you have to go in there and review every transaction and like plan for all of those and have them in budgets and things like that, right? But for a family of like it's 7 now, we're a family of 7, like the finances are too complicated to manage it transaction by transaction. I can keep track of all of the bills to make sure that all of the bills are paid, but I can't, like, I just kind of put things into general categories. I'm like, okay, here's how much you spent on Amazon this month. It's more or less than last month. No volume, no speed. I don't know, like that downtrend was pretty good. But what happened was, and once that transaction was done, nobody wants to transact in this market anymore after that. So I don't know what was the driver for that sell. It kind of makes me think that it was not related to the things that I saw. And I was kind of prone to avoid trading today anyways, so whatever. I only buy stuff online when I really need to. I still like going out to get my stuff. Me too. But, you know, I think that the thing is, you know, you get these chemicals in your brain, and these chemicals are kind of like they connect the clefts between cells. So if you don't have enough neurotransmitter, you know, like the messages don't work. You don't get things done. And this is where, you know, they've done some studies and they've found things like you have a limited amount of willpower. Like they do these studies where they would like stress a person out all day, you know, like forcing them to make a lot of decisions and to exercise willpower all day, and then get to the end of the day and test their willpower with some simple thing and show that how much their willpower had declined. That it's like a chemical. You need certain amount of chemicals to do it. So, you know, dopamine in particular is a chemical that you do need for your brain to function, right? And if basically your whole day is, I have to focus, I have to pay attention to this kid. I can be doing something else, but I have to pay attention to this kid the whole time lest he does something that, you know, really causes problems, right? That is a lot of focus. That is a lot of dopamine and norepinephrine that you're spending on doing that. And then you want to go and take care of something else for you. You don't have the dopamine to do it. So what do? You do things that will generate dopamine, right? There are certain activities that you can do that can kind of generate a little bit of dopamine and help you go, right? And like one of the most powerful sources is buying something. or not necessarily buying, but like looking to buy something. Looking around and thinking about buying something generates a lot of dopamine. The actual buying part of it doesn't. So that's why people fall into that. That's why online shopping is kind of so devious. I think. I don't think about neurology, well, that's because you're not ADHD, right? You don't understand that. So me not on medication, it requires those sorts of tricks to do or accomplish anything. Like just going in and doing simple little school, tasks is a hard thing. And I put it off all the time. Actually, today is probably a good example. We should probably be programming this, but I said that I was gonna in 5 minutes. So we're gonna yap for a little bit more. I'm gonna go and make sure that they're on the waking up, and then we will get back to this programming. Because I love programming, but like I will put it off. It's like just getting started is super hard for me sometimes. I want to do these all of these larger things for like creating a hedge fund, but it's like you got to do it on the weekend, and you got to get started. And there's other things that are going on that often end up taking precedence anyways. It's just, and then to do it, I still have to, lock myself in the room, and my wife is taking care of the kids and dealing with them when she has to deal with them all week, right? It's super hard. It's super hard. So understanding the brain ends up being very powerful. But the upshot of that is that because I've been forced to understand those things so well, I can be extremely effective when I need to be, right? I kind of like know my limitation. So I make sure that I'm extremely effective at work, and that pays off, right? Anyways. Rich people problems. This is what it is. What we're really talking about are rich people problems, right? Oh man. I don't know. Maybe like my parents are retired now. They like just retired. So that maybe will help. That maybe will help a little bit. I watched this TikTok the other day. I thought it was really, really interesting. That this guy was saying that evolution has decided that grandmothers are really important. Like, why do you have menopause? You have menopause, but then the woman lives for so long after that. It is basically like the biology has decided that the woman should not have more children so that she can focus on helping raise her children's children. Like, men don't have the same kind of menopause. Men kind of like peak early because so that he won't compete with the younger male, You're a yuppie that is desperate to be as interesting as the people who struggle beneath. Well, I don't know about if I really think that the people that struggle are as interesting. I don't know, man. So this is something that I struggle with when it kind of comes to my mind, like deciding what I actually think about it. A lot of the people well, let's say the people that I know personally that are on the lower rung of the socioeconomic ladder, are there from their own dumb mistakes, largely. I think there's a lot of they don't realize, like people don't understand that, you know, being lazy in high school has lifelong consequences, you know, like, and it's frustrating to me to talk to those people sometimes, because I'm like a highly motivated person. I worked really, really hard in school. I did all of these things, and I'm like, what are you doing with your life? Like, it's hard to relate. I really like the, you know, the kind of person that is, they're highly motivated, they're working really, really hard, and it's just, it so happens that they've chosen a vocation that is, you know, involves manual labor or whatever. They're a plumber or an electrician or whatever the deal is, right? That's kind of like a different situation from what I just described, right? But I honestly haven't met very many of those people. I think that they're out there. I think that they're just, you know, too busy to be talking to me. You know what I mean? So it's like, but basically the gist is that I'm saying is that by and large, I do not find people on the lower rung of the economic ladder interesting, you know? I see lazy people and people who paralyze themselves with analysis to be similar. Well, I don't paralyze myself with analysis. I analyze to avoid doing the thing. Yes. I don't even, you know, so here when it comes to trading, I mean, I think that's a little bit different. I've just kind of gotten to the point in my trading where I really requires a strong signal for me to want to do something. And that's maybe more a function of where I'm at right now, you know? And this does kind of come down to a lot of the things that I've been talking about, right? Like, you can only take on so many things, and my energy gets caught up by doing a lot of other things. And I warned us about this way back in the beginning, right? It was like, hey, now that I'm gonna have babies, like, that's probably going to negatively affect the trading, the amount of energy that I have, right? So that's kind of what's going on. So hopefully, when both of them are older than 5, I don't have as much of that cognitive load to worry about, and I can like focus more energy towards taking risk on again, you know? But I think that that's what that's going on. And I am gonna write these other things. Like, I'm slowly but surely doing it. Like, that's another thing, is like, you can have all these plans and you're like, I should have done them all by now, right? But if you're really consistently just doing one little thing every week or whatever the deal is, you will get things done. And I do get things done. So, and we have this time in the morning to really focus on things. What is with this sell-off right here? This is a little bit weird. I mean, what I'm seeing so far kind of looks like just like rebalancing, and, you know, okay, this is not a huge deal that we're seeing some downside after having such a huge run up overnight, right? But when it started to happen, you saw the treasuries tick down like 3 or 4 ticks too. So it's kind of acting like that there's something else out there now that I don't know about. Okay. is probably so. Unusual Wells is tweeting that JP Morgan's Diamond says he can't rule out a hard landing for the US economy. That could maybe cause that. We've seen Jamie Dimon comments cause that kind of a reaction before. So I think that that's a good good possible candidate for that. Who is he? Nostradamus? Might as well be. Jamie Dimon, the CEO of JP Morgan? No, I'm sure. Wait, it's Lucas. Sorry, I thought it was Uzi that said it. Does Lucas know who Jamie Dimon is? I think you go and you look up and oh yeah, actually I do know who he is. He kind of is Nostradamus, actually. Yeah, if Jamie Dimon came out and said, like, I think that the United States is going to go into a recession in the next 6 months, I would probably sell on that. If he felt that confident about something like that, I would believe him. You don't think that they're selling because of that comment? I think that it might be playing a factor. The problem is that I'm only seeing that tweet from Unusual Wells, so I don't know if that, that could have been something that was posted a while ago and is only coming out on Unusual Wells now, and ergo would not actually be what the market is reacting to. But I can say it is definitely a strong possibility. That's about the kind of a reaction that I would maybe expect off of a comment like that. But it's unclear. It's definitely unclear. Okay, I'm gonna check on people and be back in about 5 minutes or so, all right? Have to unmute myself. Okay, so comments about a hard landing have been going on for a long time for that to have some significant meaning. I think that is not completely accurate. So over the last 6 months, I would argue that the market, by and large, has ruled the hard landing scenario out. That pretty much everybody is soft landing or no landing right now. Honestly, to me, this looks like a no landing scenario. Like I'm kind of still of the thought that we'll have a no landing scenario for a while, and then eventually that will force the Federal Reserve to become hawkish again, and then you would have a hard landing. You know what I mean? That's what looks like is most likely to happen right now. So that means no landing for the next 9 months to a year, and then maybe a year out with the, you know, after the elections and everything, we can reassess. But I'm concerned that after that time period, that then maybe you can have a hard landing. Okay. So for Jamie Dimon to say the hard landing is still on the table, that's different, because everybody else has kind of been like, no, hard landing's definitely not going to happen now. Okay. So, shall we get back into this programming? So what we were trying to do was change these, you know, there's a lot of these Sharp DX objects that they're making. These ones I'm going to not touch for now. And we're going to try and get into some of this logic here. So what is it saying? Okay. So this right here is if bar is a doji. Ah, I see. So this is these 2 points. What were they? These 2 vectors. These 2 vectors. He's setting the X and Y for the top of the bar. You know, like if let's draw a picture here. If here's the candlestick, and then here's these lines. These are done with a line. So maybe you don't need a vector for those, but you do need vectors for the rectangles. So probably those vectors should be objects, but I probably only need to create them once. So let's do that. Where do those get created actually? Oh, it should be up in here. Yes. Okay. Deleted. And then we can put them back up here at the top. Just before the rectangle. And an instance variable should have an underscore in front of it. Okay. So when I use it over here, underscores. These bits right here, I don't think that you can override. And they're just doubles and floats, so I think it's okay. I think it's okay to create those every iteration. Okay. No, wait. Doji brush DX. That's where we gotta change that. Brush, Doji Brush, yeah. Well, I don't want to change the names of them. I wish I had noticed earlier that they were DX. But I would just do this as Doji Brush. Right. Yes, that's great. Yeah, markets are way more active today. You know, usually Wednesday and Thursday are the most active days of the week. Yesterday, you kind of got a glimmer of that, but I don't think that it was quite as good as we wanted. So here this morning, yeah. Now part of that is that there was like a lot of volatility bottled up waiting for NVIDIA earnings, I think. So now that that's passed, they can kind of like, you know, release their orders and whatnot. Oh, by the way, we're supposed to get some news here, right? The flash PMIs. Yeah, I can see the liquidity thinning out here. Well, I guess not everyone sold in May and went away. Well, so I would still say that this is still pretty quiet, right? But the big thing is, Lucas, is that it hasn't happened yet. Like, that's everything that's going early. Come back next Tuesday. Because next Tuesday is when you're in summer. And I would expect to see less liquidity in the markets come Tuesday. So after Memorial Day. And then you will get, you know, non-farms, but ooh. Okay, so services PMI 54.8 versus 51.2, and manufacturing PMI 50.9 versus 49.9. So both of these are above 50 and higher than expected. I am a little bit surprised though by the strength of that move. Do you think that you said summer, that's not happening? I mean, you've been through this several times. You're just trolling me now, right? Between Memorial Day and Labor Day, there is less liquidity in the markets. And the market trades differently. So it's not happening until Tuesday. We're just kind of in the run-up to the summer. So that downside that we saw off of that report, so definitely that report should be a short, but I would not have expected it to be that much. But they just sold like 13,000 contracts on that. Well, 13,000 I guess is about okay. I don't know, man. It still just seems like a little bit bigger of a move than you would like to see the stats. So, yeah, you know, I would totally have stats for you if it wasn't something that was mostly to do with the depth of market, right? My memory might not be perfect since even during these volatile years since the pandemic, you still get this bizarre kind of like there's less liquidity in the summer sort of thing though. Like that's kind of the thing is that when you get into the summer, man, they're still going. When you get into the summer, if there is volatility because like there's crazy things going on and whatnot, and that does happen, then it's just more volatile than it would be because like it really is like there are major market makers, like algorithmic market makers out there that part of their rules are if it's between Memorial Day and Labor Day, don't put as many contracts out. or something like that. That was, yeah. Yes, less liquidity gets you more volatility, not less. That's what we saw. Yes. If there are people actually transacting, right? So if something happens, then you get more volatility than usual. Otherwise, it just sits there all day and does nothing. I would say that the 10-year is a little bit thinner than it was yesterday. There are some 6Ks below us, but like we were putting 5K at a lot of prices, and now we're back down to like 3 and 4. Well, they were thicker earlier in the week, that's for sure. But it's a little bit lighter today. Lighter than it was. I would say that this is like average for the Treasury historically. Whereas earlier in the week, it was a little bit thicker than the Treasuries usually are historically. And when I say historically, I mean like over the last 10 years and not like just post-pandemic, because post-pandemic was spent most of that time having very, very little liquidity. But 3 to 4 is what I remember. I don't know about that one. I'm not going to trade it. Let's program. That kind of makes me want to reverse that move.
Block sell.
The way that they're setting up there. But, you know, I think that would be a foolish trade, so. But I'm a little bit skeptical about, can they really go for another push? The S&P 500 really doesn't like that, though. Huh. Okay, so first thing, something I'm noting here is that they just draw one line for the doji. So if you, or not for the doji, for the wick. So that means that if you like have a transparent center or something like that, you're gonna get a line through the thing. So maybe at some point we should change that. But but except for that, this is a doji, so it's okay. It's probably okay. But why would oh, this is drawing the little horizontal line. I getcha. I see. I know. I'm still thinking about this, and I'm like, Lucas must be trolling, because we've had this conversation like every year for like the last 6 years, man. Come on. You don't remember this? Yeah, he's trolling me. He's trolling me. Wait a second. Oh, okay. Up brush. Down brush. That's a little better. Okay, this right here is kind of dumb that they have that right there instead of taking this and going oh, that's really annoying. Close value is greater than open value, up out brush versus down out brush, and they kind of are using like slightly different logic. There. Let's see, shouldn't it be brush out brush? Yeah, we'll call it that. What's the deal with that big drop? There was PMIs, and the PMIs were stronger than anticipated, and the market took a cue. Hey, Tarek, how have you been? We are writing our own chart style that is basically we're taking a indicator that already exists out there called Better Candlestick, and I'm just improving its memory usage. So it should be a lot more performant. Should be both faster and use less memory. So this part right here is just... all of this part right here can just be out brush now. And why are they using different logic for the two parts? That might be a bug on his part. See, and then he does the same thing right here. It's like, are we going to use this or the up out brush? Right? Out brush, and then with outline. Octavia says no rate cuts this year, so everyone has been wrong. Well, so that news does kind of suggest that rate cuts this year are less likely. I don't know if that means that there's no way that we could have rate cuts this year or not. But it does go towards that direction. But we were kind of already moving in that direction anyways. So I don't know. I definitely would have expected them to sell off of that news, but not as strongly as they have. But remember that the way that the market moves is based on the orders that are placed into it and not based on the significance of the news, right? And I think that what's happening is about 20,000 contracts sold. The liquidity is a little bit lighter, and that's probably why we got a larger move than we anticipated. Now, the problem is that, now that move happened, do we have like a follow-up trade for that? And I kind of feel like I don't. Yeah, FOMC minutes also didn't sound too optimistic on a cut for the year, switching over to talk from scenarios. Yeah, well, yesterday, let's say there wasn't like they didn't think that there was going to be cuts, but they were concerned that financial conditions had become too easy, right? The liquidity is still low here, by the way, like almost 15 minutes after it. Oh, no, wait. That's because we're getting the new home sales, huh? Durr. Okay, so new home sales change month over month, -4.7 versus an expected -2.2. That's causing a slight rise here. Over here in Canada, we are pretty screwed if we don't start cutting rates soon in general, also, though our country is screwed. Right, but that's what happens in stagflation, right? Is economic growth is low, and you want to reduce interest rates, but you can't because inflation is too high. Yeah. So all of this stuff right here is they're just being too clever. Same with this stuff right here. Okay. I know how I feel about that part. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this bit right here. If Oh, so it shouldn't be brush. It should be up brush, out brush equals up out brush. What's the cost basis? The cost basis is all the way back up at 108.30 half. I tell you what, if you get that one, I'll be awfully impressed. Let's see. That seems too far away to matter. I would kind of be keeping an eye more on that 27 where the single prints start. Okay, so I'm coming back to this little conundrum that I have here. So they have if the high high Y is less than open Y close Y. Low wick. Ugh, that's so terrible right there. I have so many problems with this code. Oh, okay. I think the person that did this has done a lot of crazy stuff on their own, but they're clearly not a programmer by profession. I think. If the high Y, so if we got this right here, and we don't know if it's a green or a red candle, but we know that this is the high. Okay, so then we find the lower of these two. And then we say if the high Y is less than those two, then it's a high wick? What? That doesn't make any sense to me at all. So there's open Y and close Y. So we take the lower of these two. And then we say if this is less than this, that's impossible. How will that ever get hit? Am I missing something here? That seems crazy. Can you guys double check that for me? That logic seems nonsensical. In this one, if it's, we take the max of those and then we say if the low Y is greater than those two, then we do this. And then that's the end of it. Sure, I must be reading it wrong because this is where they draw the wick. So high Y is the high of the bar. Wonder why it wants the open value, if they even use that. Oh, wait a second. I know what it is. I know what it is. Get by Y value. So it's not the actual Y. I gotcha. I gotcha. It's the opposite, and it starts down from 0. So this is actually like, this could be like 0, 50, 100, 150. Yeah, okay, so then if we say the high Y, or actually I think it's the opposite. I think it's this way. It's like 0, 50, 100, 150. So then you say if the high Y, 0, is less than the higher of these two, then we draw. Okay, so this is just a little bit of logic to not draw the wick if you don't have to, which seems a little silly, but I'll allow it. I'll allow it. But there is this bit right here, which is, are we doing an up out brush or a down out brush? If the close value equals the open value, then do a doji. That should never happen. They are making a new rectangle inside of the thing. I think that he probably adapted this from somebody else's code. Out brush. Oh, I hate that. I hate it. And why am I using the out? Oh, well. Why am I using the rectangle at all? Oh, wait, this one must be... No. Okay, so this is the body. So this is just like a really big smelly line of code here, because he's got like 4 or 5 points of logic all in one line. Like right here, he's making a new rectangle. Right? Using the points when I don't think he even actually needs to use those. Probably the vectors are unnecessary, because here when we set the rect, we just set them like that, right? Although, to be honest, I'm a little unsure what the transform brush has to do with anything in the first place. What does this do in NinjaTrader? Scales a non-solid color brush used for rendering the chart style to properly display in NinjaTrader. Oh. So that means that it is for transparency. Except for that white. Yeah, I'm not even sure if you need this. I'm kind of suspecting that you don't need this transform brush line. Sell off again? Well, back to the lows at least. By the way, through that, there was a strong buy in the Japanese yen.
Block sell.
Well, I really misjudged that today, right? If I had thought that we would go lower, then I would be all in on let's sell it, right? But I was kind of like, that's too much. Not to mention that I kind of said I wasn't going to take a trade today anyways because I feel a little too twitchy. That's the line that I added, right? See, on this one, transform the brush. I forget, how does this... That just says if overridden bar brush is set to something, right? Yeah. Turns the left hand if it isn't null, otherwise it evaluates the right hand operand. But isn't the overridden bar brush always there? Shouldn't it always be there? So when would this ever do the other ones? So there's some of these things that I'm like, I'm going to leave it with his logic in there and see what it does. But some of me is starting to be like, maybe I should just do it the way that I want to do it, because some of the stuff that he's doing here is a little bit too convoluted. Like that one makes sense. Okay, change the brush, then fill the rectangle, draw and fill the rectangle with the two brushes. But down here on this one, well, let's see here. Oh, we only transform the outline. Fair enough. But then shouldn't it be like this? Shouldn't the line just be like this? Right. He's making a new rectangle. That doesn't make any sense. I'm doing all of this comparison that I already did up there. So I kind of think that I can just do it like that.
Block cell.
Ouch. Holy Nikes. See, I think it should be like that. And I don't know why it wants me to provide a rectangle in there, but it doesn't matter because this doesn't use the rectangle when drawing the line, so whatever. So same on this one, I think that it's like that. See, and like look, they're setting this rectangle, but they don't draw a rectangle there. So I think that that's just like ancillary code or whatever. You think it'll stall at 18? That last little cell there was a little scary, man. There was like, how big was that? Well, there was 2 orders right alongside each other, 5,000 contracts sold all at once. Let's come over, you know, so I'm going to delete that line. I'm going to change these. I'm going to change this to be outbrush. Okay. And now, let's see if we go to Zero Hedge if they've got something on this. U.S. new home sales tumbled in April amid further downward revisions. S&P Global says U.S. business activity is at its strongest in 2 years, but ... Well, let's read that. With both hard and soft data declining rapidly recently, why should we be surprised that the S&P Global's preliminary PMI prints for May would suddenly surge, with manufacturing back into expansion? Flash U.S. Services Business Activity Index at 54.8, a 12-month high. Flash U.S. Manufacturing PMI at 50.9, a 2-month high. Just ignore the plunge in hard data in May, ... And so, just to rub salt into the wounds, S&P Global claims that U.S. business activity accelerated in early May at the fastest pace in 2 years, largely reflecting stronger growth at service providers and accompanied by a pickup in inflation. The S&P Global Flash May Composite Purchasing Managers Index advanced by more than 3 points to 54.4, the highest since April 2022, but selling price inflation has meanwhile ticked higher and continues to signal modestly above inflation target. What's interesting is the main inflationary impetus is now coming from manufacturing rather than services, meaning rates of inflation for costs and selling prices are now somewhat elevated by pre-pandemic standards in both sectors, to suggest that the final mile down to the Fed's 2% target still seems elusive. Chris Williamson, chief business economist at S&P Global Marketplace Intelligence, said in a statement. Factory input prices advanced at the fastest rate since November 2022, the report showed. Prices paid and received metrics for service providers also picked up. Commenting on the data, Chris Williamson, chief business economist, said U.S. economic upturn has accelerated again after 2 months of slower growth, with the early PMI data signaling the fastest expansion for just 2 years in May. The data put the U.S. economy back on course for another solid GDP gain in the second quarter. As solid as 1.6% gain in quarter one? Not only has output risen in response to renewed order book growth, but business confidence has lifted higher to signal brighter prospects for the year ahead. However, companies remain cautious with respect to the economic outlook amid uncertainty over the future path of inflation and interest rates, and continue to cite worries over geopolitical instabilities and the presidential election. So while growth macro data is surprising to the downside, this survey says growth is killing it and Bidenomics rules. So let's see if this good news on growth prompts gains or losses in stocks. Well, it prompted losses. That's very curious. So I thought when I read that, you know, with the way that the market is reacting, that there would probably be a really strong message in there that maybe wasn't in the headline that could help explain why the market seems to dislike this number so badly. And it really doesn't. It really doesn't. Again, and let me point, I already mentioned this, but I didn't show you the chart. For historical purposes, let's show the chart. On the pullback here in the treasuries, there was a spike. So it looks to me like there was an attempted rescue operation in the Japanese yen. And that's probably what was this kind of like, you know, float back up. But then the treasuries sold off further. You know, Octavius, that's a really good point. I wish I had thought of that. Are they reacting more strongly to this news than they normally would because there's a 3-day weekend coming up? And so if these guys were all long treasuries in particular, and they no longer want to be long going into the then they've got to puke it all up now. That could be a factor. I think you're right. Where I'm at though is that because we had that Japanese yen intervention, I'm a little bit nervous about trying to go short this thing. Even on a sim order. Volatility would be higher due to repricing after the holidays? I don't know. I was, you know, the big thing though is that we were basically cumulative delta. My cumulative delta in the 10-year was at 0 when the news was released. We saw about 20,000 contracts off of the initial release, and then since then we've seen an additional 30,000. So we are now 50,000 contracts short. That's pretty major. Like once we get into 50,000 contracts, I'm thinking this could be a trend day, that sort of. I don't think that this is a trend day, but that's like pretty significant. And so again, even though I did not plan on taking a trade today because I think that due to my workout and everything that my nervous system is a little on edge and I would have a tendency to take too many trades. So I'm glad that I didn't trade it. But despite me not taking a trade, I do have to say that I think my analysis goofed up here because I did not anticipate that number leading to that amount of selling, right? We want to predict the future orders. And I thought, okay, maybe 10, 20,000 contracts selling off of that would maybe make sense. And they sold 50, 60, right? I'm missing something. So why did that lead to so many orders? Well, the holiday, it could be a factor. It could be that, you know, somebody is finding out that they're wrong on something really bad. It could be that the market is just overreacting and that happens and, you know, whatever, you missed it. You know? Okay, so with all of that, I want to see how bad we have done, because I think that I got most of the major changes that I wanted in there in terms of like switching things over to using the right objects. So the chances of this compiling are probably like nil. Why have I clicked and put breakpoints all over the place? That's kind of weird. The chances of this compiling on the first try are like absolutely nil. But okay, I did save it. But then that kind of, I wonder, because when I save that, NinjaTrader's not like automatically trying to compile and stuff. So here it is on this side. Ah, okay, so if I open it on this side, then it does give me some errors right here. What is this? Oh, right here. An extra little I there. And missed the semicolon there. Now let's try building that. That's a little bit more like what I thought was going to happen. Oh, the rectangle doesn't have a dispose, does it? But I guess the rectangle does not necessarily have to be attached to a render target, right? Like when I make it, I never make it, do I? Oh no, wait, I make it right here. New sharp BX rectangle. I think that I can just do this here. Equals new sharp DX rectangle up. Right? And then just get rid of these two lines right here. This one. And this one. Down out brush does not exist in this context. What did we call it? There's up out. Oh, it's DN out. Oh, you know what? I think that this one is down brush, but the other one is DN out. Is that what it is? DN out, down wick, up out, up wick, OG. Oh, I think that the down brushes are defined. Yeah. Okay, but we can change this one to be DN out brush. Just to kind of keep things consistent. Dude, they're kind of like approaching down there again. I don't think that any of these things use these bars, so I think that these two lines should be down here. And that probably doesn't need to be done every time, though. Actually, let's not do that. Let's do this instead. IDX bars, bar width, like that. And then, oh wait, it's only calculated once per time, right? Bars, float, bar width. Twos will be back to 5% next week. Well, what does this put us at right now? Well, we're not quite back to 4.5. You know, it was kind of curious because if we go kind of like higher time frame here in the treasuries, right? It is basically just retraces what we got on the 15th, right? Which was CPI, right? CPI went up. Now we have fully retraced CPI. I kind of still feel like that the market overreacted to CPI. So I don't know if this like so-called capitulation down here is like the end of the world. Now, if we're headed back to new lows for the year, then that's a big deal, right? Okay, now here's all of these references to the rectangle that I missed. Brush, outbrush. It says that outbrush doesn't exist in this context. Well, now that's curious to me. Okay, I missed that right there. I think that I have to, I see. I think that this bit right here, should possibly always happen. Okay. Okay, cool. So we're back to the style wick part. SS props wick equals. Oh, we're only seeing one chart. I'm sorry. Never switched back over, huh? Yeah, we're blind, right? Okay, so first we create stroke style properties, and then we do have a dash style wick. Is that a property somewhere? Okay, so I'm going to make a little intuition jump here and say that this goes here. Okay. And then but it's actually style wick is the thing that stays. So this yank, this will be an underscore, and we will set it up here. And all of this stuff deleted. Okay. And then again, instance variables need a underscore in front of them. So, style wick. Oh, look at that. If underscore style wick does not equal null. Oops. I don't know how I just did that, but okay. Let me try that again. If underscore style wick does not equal null. Shift E. No. Come over here. Oh. Underscore. That's the way I fixed that. Yeah. Okay. I'm a little bit surprised that that compiled that time. Still. Honestly. Okay, well. So let's try testing it, I guess. Chart. Let's do a chart of the S&P 500 5-minute bars and use Seth candle. Okay. Holy crap. It actually works. It actually works. I didn't completely break it. I could have broken it because maybe if I add an indicator that's supposed to repaint the bars, it might do something weird. But. So now we have to test it. I feel like now is not the very best time to test it, though, is it? So let's do it anyways. Duplicate a new window. Duplicate a new window. Okay, so now we've got my version. Let's do it like that. Okay, so that's my version. This will be Ninja Trader's version. And stick. Okay. Oh, you know what? I never saved a version of this. Let's take it. Let's go grab it again. custom styles. Come back to this. Says it already contains that class. No. Oh, wait. Maybe class. This should be class Seth Candle. Let's try that. Okay. So let's just I close that for now. And duplicate a new window like that. Reopen it. Okay. Data series. So this one is going to be Seth Candle. No. It doesn't like it. Seth Candle. I might need to restart to fix that. Look at that huge bid at 19.5. Yeah, see, because Candlestick ++ isn't showing up on there. So let's just real quickly close NinjaTrader and restart it. And give it a little bit. That's the fastest I've ever seen NinjaTrader close. Oh, you know what? This isn't going to work because I have all of these other charts open, and that's going to change the numbers. All right. Now Seth Candle doesn't even show up. Why not? Why not? I don't need that. I don't need that. I don't need... Hold on a second. Okay, cool. Oh, that's funny. All right, anyways. Yes. Let's see. Maybe, like, restarting it, maybe it'll fix it. I don't know. Oh, you know what? I bet I know what's causing this. Let's just double check. I bet you it's still not going to be there. Here's our chart. Data series. Yeah, it's still not there. So I think it's because if I go into chart styles set candle. Sure, whatever. When I come down into here. Oh, there's not. You know, I thought that there would be like the junk down at the bottom of the file and all that kind of stuff, right? But there isn't. Some big bids there, man. I don't know what to make of that. Is that like plunge protection team? Multiple chart styles with the same chart style type were found. Oh. Chart style type. What's that about? Defines a unique identifier value to register a custom chart style. There are 11 default chart styles which come with NinjaTrader. This can allow up to 2 billion. But they can still come. That sounds so dumb. Okay, whatever. So I'm going to change mine to 512 then. Okay. And now, no, I still don't see it. But maybe now if I restart. Wow, I totally lost track of the time, but there you are. Duplicate new window, duplicate a new window. Here, this one is going to be Candlestick++. And this one is going to be Seth Candle. Okay, so they look exactly the same, so that part is good. I will probably change the default colors at some point. I will need to test things like transparency. But what we want to do is we want to come down to our NinjaScript output window, right click on it, and say NinjaScript utilization monitor. Okay. Who's using the time? Let's wait. We can only give it a minute. It's time for me to go. We can only give it a minute. But look. My candlestick is using less time than both the one that we improved and Ninja Traders. I mean, it's only been going for a little bit, but like, come on. We need to come up with a better name for it, though. I don't think that we could call it Speculator Seth Candle. Maybe we could call it Optimized Candle. Yeah, let's call it that. Let's call it Optimized Candlestick. Optimized Candlestick. Right here. Optimized. Optimized candlestick. Wait, when you go in here... No, they don't use a capital S. Okay. Alright, well, yeah, GG. I don't know, man. It's been like 2 minutes. I feel like that's kind of conclusive that my changes fix it. And that my changes are even better than Ninja Traders, which is kind of interesting. But there might be some features that I've like killed in there or something we need to go and double check on. But it wouldn't surprise me at all that they're creating objects that they don't need to in their code too. Right? So, yeah. That's pretty good. That's not just like, okay, you can safely use your better looking candle on all of your charts. It's actually, the system will perform better if you put it on all of your charts. But we should run it for a whole session. We'll do that tomorrow. This is pretty good so far, yeah? So I'm pretty happy with that. I was worried that we wouldn't, I kind of thought that maybe it would take us another day. I guess there are some things that I want to change about it still. Like, I was going to set a separate color for the wicks and create themes. Oh, themes. That would be cool, huh? Let's have themes. I'll have a couple of default styles. Default neon. I have default neon Bronco, black and white, solarized. Would be great. See you next week. Wait, it's only Thursday. We still got another day. You're not leaving me tomorrow, are you, Octavius? Going for the weekend early? Okay, I understand. I see how it is. All right, guys. But I will see you tomorrow. For the rest of you. Stay excellent, team.